Welcome, 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 welcome. Honor and a pleasure to be here again. What's good, y'all? How y'all doing? If you can see me, press one, and if you can hear me, press two. It's been a while, been a couple weeks. I missed y'all. Hope you missed me. I hope you are being appreciated and never tolerated. You know who I am. If you don't, my name is Ken Billions. You know where you're at. If you don't, let me remind you. This is the number one home for personal development. Number one. Number one. This is a place where you look in the mirror. This is a place where you come in ordinary and you leave extraordinary. I definitely want to say what's up to the Coin Gang family and everybody that has been committed to personal development this entire year. Every summer, I take a week off, a couple weeks off from the microphone. So I took my weeks off, retooled. I do a self audit. So for those wondering where I am, I'm fine. I'm loved on. I'm great. Skin is popping. I'm straight. But you got to step away for a second to see where you're at with all your endeavors and everything. This is the number one home for personal development. This is ministry for the abstract mind. And it's a safe space for everybody out there that has an out the box philosophy. I hope that your summer is productive. I hope that you're not turning your brain off. I hope that you are committed to your New Year's resolution. And if you hit your mark, I hope you're able to sit down and write new goals. When you come in the chat, go ahead and press like. Go ahead and give the video a share, right? For the algorithm, because this is going to be a great conversation. In fact, this conversation that I'm going to have is so rare that even Chat GPT doesn't even understand the nature of the conversation. My conversation is so rare that even artificial intelligence doesn't even know what kind of description to give me because it's so rare. But before I get into that, I want to tell you keep your babies close. And if you have someone that's on your line that's checking for you, that's loving on you, please let them. Today, we're going to talk about how to make it about you. If you're a dude, married, single, old, young, white, black, doesn't matter. How to make it about you. We're going to talk about, we might need to revisit the hero's journey, right? We might need to revisit the stages of the hero's journey because there's an area we get lost in the hero's journey that has a negative effect on our path and our course and our purpose. We're also going to have to revisit this ideal of manhood. We have to revisit it from a different perspective. And we're going to talk about quality of life over survival. Quality of life versus survival. Let's do that. Our build today, to me, is an occult build. It's a philosophical build. It is a build that for men that makes you go, Our build today is reclaiming your manhood, the power of decentering women. Now, usually we hear it the other way of women decentering men, and I'm all for that, especially when in regards to a woman's hero's journey. I'm with it. But we never hear it the other way. What does it look like for a man to decenter women? Passport bros, that's not decentering women. That's still very much about women, right? SYSBM, men go your own way. It's still about women. They're going their own way because of something women are doing. I'm talking about even if women are doing every single thing right, decentering them, period. No matter what they do, have a woman decentered. Does that mean you don't appreciate a woman? Nope. Does that mean you're not attracted to women? Nope. Does that mean you don't want to be in a relationship with women? No. It just corrects a primal condition that happened, and I believe about 13,000 years ago. And we're going to get into that. There are hardwiring default setting that many modern men are affected with that happened around 13 to 15,000 years ago, and it hasn't been corrected. So even when men think they're not centering women, they're centering women. You're centering your mom, you're centering your sister, you're centering your spouse, you're centering your daughter. Everything about the male psychology deals with centering women. The conversation is so rare about a man decentering women that even artificial intelligence doesn't know how to respond back to me when I ask artificial intelligence, what does it look like for a man to decenter women? The conversation is so foreign. Like, wow, our psychology is so hooked up to what women do or don't do. We don't even know what it's like to be a man independent of the female gaze, independent of her nurturing, independent of her cooking, of her cleaning, of her rubbing, of her femininity, of her inspiration. Mm-mm. We're going to go in a complete different direction, and I want to put on the table total decentering of women. Foreign concept to most guys, huh? Well, let me tell you how my centering started from the rip. I wanted my mother to love me so bad, and that just wasn't who she was, right? No matter what I did, I could not put myself at the center of my mom's desire, attention, love. She had other things in mind. So that had a very negative effect on my mind now. And this is how I know that the centering of girls and women is primal, because I was not taught to center my mom or women. It just came natural. And when my mom wouldn't allow me to center her, I grew up with a damaged psyche to the point where I wanted women to center me. So I took penitentiary chances, sold dope, did scams, heists. Excuse me, someone's working outside. Excuse me. Be 1 second. And I wanted to be a hero. Look, baby, look at the money that I got. Also, the women can give me the attention that I wanted my mother to give me. So when my mother didn't give me that attention, I went out into the world. I went out into the streets. I put myself in very, very, very negative situations, all for the feminine gaze. And no gaze was good enough, because once I lay with one, you know what? There's another one in a different shape, in a different color, with a different accent. Maybe I can get this love that I wanted from my mom from her, right? So I'm going down to this dark path, not understanding what self-love looks like, not understanding what it means to have agency, not understanding what it means to have value, because I'm thinking my value can only come from what a woman thinks about me, what she has to say about me, how she feels about me, the way she talks about me to her friends. That's what I thought, because I was the kid on the bike saying, look, mommy, look. But no one taught me that, though. So where was this thinking coming from that I needed to center a female in my life? I needed somebody's bills to pay. I needed to find a damsel in distress, right? I needed to be this knight. Where did this thinking come from? Because it damn sure didn't come from the environment that I was from, right? It damn sure didn't come from hip hop. So this thinking of having a woman centered smack dab in my life came from somewhere deep, somewhere that I didn't even know. The reptilian part of my brain, came from an area in my psyche that I was unaware of. Our conversation today is reclaiming your manhood, the power of decentering women. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate the love and support. You always come through. You always put it down. So salute to you and yours wherever you at. I hope this conversation uh, lands on your lap, and I hope that you can use it, because as guys, we all need to decenter women, because you'll never truly see who you really are as long as women are the center in our lives. Let me show you where the thinking comes from. Something primal, something deep, something from very, very, very long ago. The best place for me to start in the build is, there's a lot going on outside. I'm going to start with the Clovis people, right? Now, the Clovis people are very, very, very understudied, okay? The Clovis people had their own culture, right? But something unique happens to the Clovis people. They just disappear, man. Now, archaeologists argue about what happened to the Clovis people, but they just pretty much disappeared. Their entire way of life was thousands of years old. They're very old people, and then suddenly they're gone. Now, what happens to the Clovis people explains why modern men have this primal thing in us to center women. I can draw a line on what happened to the Clovis people, on why I thought that I needed to center my mother and center women, period. Now, the Clovis people, they hunted what's called megafauna. Now, megafauna is basically giant terrestrial animals, big rhinoceros, woolly mammoth, things like that. These are megafauna. Okay. So this is what America used to look like. Now, the Clovis people disappear, and so does this big game. Now, scientists, biologists, everybody, academia is going back and forth on what happens to these Clovis people and what happens to this megafauna that was once very, very popular in the Western Hemisphere. What happened to these people and what happened to what they hunted? Some people argued it was a blitzkrieg. Other people argue it was a change of climate. But there isn't a agreed upon academic ideal on what has happened to the ancient people that lived in the Americas. And any thought that doesn't kind of agree with modern academia, they count it as pseudo, right? So unless they can explain fully, they don't accept Graham Hancock or Randall Carlson's ideals on what may have happened. But we're going to get into it. So you have the Clovis people. Okay. Now, at the same time the Clovis people existed, ice sheets also existed. Okay. Much of North America was under ice. In fact, around this time, much of the world was as well. Okay? Much of the world was frozen under thick ice sheets. Now, there's people that live in the ice. Okay? All right. So I have to slow cook this. So this is what the world looked like. You see, it's frozen. Much of the world is under ice. Okay? Boom. Then something happens. Something melts the ice very, very, very quickly. And when the ice melts, sea levels rise. Okay? But also areas flood. Now, in all of the religious books, they talk about a global flood myth. There is truth in that. Now, based on the culture that you're come from, you are going to associate that flood with whatever deity you follow or whatever new deity is about to become popular. Okay, so that flood myth of Noah's Ark, that's very true. It just doesn't happen like that, though. Okay, something melts the ice. There's two theories. One theory is a meteorite or a comet hits the planet or it bursts over North America and the heat and the radiation melts all the ice. That's one theory. Basically, we're talking about the Younger Dryas, right? Now follow me because these events are the reason modern men think the way they do about women. We think that it's always been like that. It's not, though, because you can actually track it when humans begin to operate differently. Of course, you have the rise of agriculture, you have wars, but one thing we never, ever, ever throw into the conversation is cosmic events. Cosmic events shape humanity, and then we begin to talk, create folklore and mythology. And time goes on, and we change the names and we change the stories, but the principle has a lot of truth in it. So the flood myth, for those that don't believe in the Bible, is true. It just doesn't happen like that. Something happened 13 to 15,000 years ago that has shaped humanity in a way where many of us have no clue. The other theory is something called pole shift. Now, you've seen the movie 2012. Now, pole shift is the magnetic poles of the earth begin to change, right? And when they change, the crust of the earth begins to move. Now, everything that happens on the planet, there are humans here. The reason why they never really talk about ancient human beings because honestly, they're not white. And when we go back in history, we see that there is a specific type of phenotype that exists. And there's a group and there's a look that doesn't exist, right? So we see the oldest people in the world tend to be dark. Now, when we peel back the layers of humanity, we notice there is a certain look in people that does not exist. That's just what it is, right? So the reason why they always talk about these cosmic events from a perspective that no humans was around, because that would open up a conversation about certain optics not being here, okay? What we call white was not a thing 200, 300,000 years ago. I personally believe that happens after a cosmic event. That's neither here nor there. So you have one theory is a comet or meteorite hits the planet and it melts the ice. Another theory is pole shift. But when these events happen, there's people here, okay? And when these events happen, we know for a fact that there are land masses that have sunk. One of them is Lemuria, the other is Atlantis. Where are you going with this, Ken? Give me a second. Now, if you're wondering how did people come out of Africa and make boats and go to Australia, we are missing land bridges, okay? So when we have these massive extinction level events occur, there is a change in the terrain. Land masses sink, land masses come up, okay? So it's reported in a lot of ancient studies that Lemuria was in the Pacific, okay? And that was a land bridge between Africa and Australia. Also, Atlantis was a land bridge between West Africa and the Western Hemisphere. Okay. So when these geological or these extinction level events occur, it changes the way humans are. Now, this is what Europe looked like in the ice. When the ice sheets melt, okay, the people that come out of the ice come out of the ice angry. See, the world had just changed. So now we have the rise of the Father God. The Father God comes from people that experience and survive through traumatic events. Traumatic events on a scale that has never been witnessed for or never was witnessed by those people. Each age produces some kind of cataclysm. And when people survive that cataclysm, they come with new folklore and they come with new stories. So, men being ahead of women happens after the Younger Dryas, okay? Men begin to, their consciousness has changed or their psyche has changed because you have superstition. They begin to say, you know what? Maybe the gods punished us because of your sexuality. Maybe the gods punished us because of your freedom. Because humans have to link cosmic events to something supernatural. Okay? And women begin to lose their agency after that ice melts. So you have people that disappear, and then you have people that begin their rise to power. Now, I want you to notice something about the ice. Look where it's not located at. Very hot areas. Now, the people that have been conquered on the planet are from these hot environments. The people in these hot environments don't have to run and chase their food. The people in these hot environments, they don't have spiritual systems that have angry gods. Odin, Yahweh, all these are angry gods, and it comes from people that have survived the ice, but it also comes from people that witnessed this cosmic event, this comet or this pole shift, right? So you have the Clovis people and many other peoples that have disappeared. Now, the thing about these ancient people, there is no man on top of woman, woman on top of man, hierarchy in the way we understand it. It doesn't go like that because they are in line with nature and quality of life, not survival. Okay. So even in many First Nations peoples, they have a reverence for hermaphrodite, right? They don't have a perversion when it comes to sexuality. They don't even have a word for rape in their language. Okay. So these people disappear. The Clovis people disappear, and millions of other people disappear. And so does the megafauna. Okay. Now, when these people are disappearing, other people are appearing. And that is the people that are coming out of the ice. The people that come out of the ice from here is where we get the ideals and concepts of patriarchy, but it's based on this angry father God. And in Gnosticism, it's called Yadadrabrov, this demiurge, because you have to understand, not only did an extinction level event happen, these people were also trapped in the ice, and it shaped their psychology. in the ice, women are very vulnerable. So the man becomes the head of the household. This ideal of the nuclear family comes to prominence, but it's from the people of the ice. Mind you, these ideals and concepts don't line up with the people in the sun. The people in the sun have a community element, a tribal element. There is no such thing as private property. There is no such thing as angry gods. There is no such thing as being in conflict with nature. But Father God put you in conflict with nature because understand, the ice melted and it freed these people. But the ice doesn't melt over thousands of years. It melts instantly. That's one of the things that modern academia keeps from us. When they talk about continental drift and all those things, they speak from a perspective of it's millions of years. No, it's suddenly. The changes that have happened on this planet happen rapidly, right? Continents drift apart rapidly, not millions of years, rapidly, okay? Centering women comes from something primal that happened 13,000 years because men are now thinking in terms of survival instead of quality of life, but it comes from something that they witnessed. They witnessed the earth move. They witnessed the ice melt. They witnessed the things that they hunted die suddenly. So there is a fear of going extinct because we've seen it before. When we talk about the Akashic records, that's not just family. The Akashic records is anything that happens on this planet. And we have a primal fear of something that has happened deep, deep, long ago in the past and its extinction level events. I'm telling you right now, and you'll hear it later. Every single shift on this planet, there have been human beings alive to see it, and they create folklore from it. The difference is the ancient people didn't have written language, so things was passed from mouth to ear. And because those people are missing, we only know one worldview. And the worldview we know is through an Abrahamic faith, but that is the Father God. And the Father God is an angry God based on being locked in the ice for thousands of years, separated from the rest of humanity. So when this ice melts, this Father God mentality now is free to roam the planet. And when the Father God comes in contact with the people of the sun, you see every single thing shift. And now woman becomes the center of a man's life because she becomes a means to an end for what? Survival. Now, the Clovis people, the Seminole, the Iroquois, the Manhattan, the First Nations people was always focused on quality of life. Those coming out of the European ice sheets are focused on survival. Okay? So you hear men talk about now, it's about having kids, it's about having kids, it's about having kids. They're not even focused on what happens to the child when it gets here. It's all about having the child. Where do you think this is coming from? This is not ancient in terms of how long humanity's been here, because the natives never record their tribes having a bunch of kids. This is a new thought that, and now you see in the book of Genesis, the old Bibles used to say, man, replenish the planet. Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the planet. Replenish why? Something happened. One of the biggest conspiracies on the planet is what happens here. Okay? We think, right? The people from the ice right, are infiltrators. They come from somewhere. You know, the master teachers taught us the Hyksos. The Hyksos come from somewhere, right? The people from the ice are the people that came with this Abrahamic faith. And this Abrahamic faith is based on Yadaldabaoth. It's a demiurge. It's a God that requires humanity to serve it. And if you don't serve me, the rocks are going to cry out. It is an angry God. It is a jealous God. And it is a God that is based on trauma. Notice, when we deal with any indigenous people from around the world that is closer to the equator, their gods are never angry. The more north we go in terms of people's pantheon and spiritual system, the god gets angrier. Doctrine of discovery, manifest destiny. That is developed from people that have a global trauma because something happened on the planet. Right? Okay. The reason why men get bent out of shape when women say, oh, we don't need men, first of all, that should be the best news ever for a guy. Because for 13,000 years, the psychology has been you need the woman to need you in order for what? Survival of not the human species, the male species, based on something that happened on the planet. The word we'll use today is the Younger Dryas. Okay? So the woman is a means to an end to survive, right? But that has also crippled the male. Right? So when I was looking at my mom trying to get her to love me and she wouldn't, right? It was because of something primal that really comes from the Younger Dryas. Because when we study indigenous cultures around the world, they don't have the same psychology. We see the psychology introduced into the human family when these people begin to come out of the ice. I talked about a book before called The Iceman Inheritance, right? We see a different type of human that is in conflict with the environment and also that has this thing with the woman, right? She is a necessary evil, right? Okay. So we grow up with this mindset, oh yeah, I need to protect and provide. Says who? That comes from ice thinking. All things on the planet are self-governing. No, self-preservation is the first law in nature. However, but because of ice thinking, having babies is the form of self-preservation instead of actually taking care of yourself. Therapy, self-care, getting your nails done, getting your feet done, getting your colon cleansed. Modern men's form of self-preservation is having babies. See, that's not quality of life. In fact, the more babies that a man has, it lowers your quality of life. You get on the treadmill of running of fight or flight. That comes from the ice, where life was very thin and things died early. So modern men are still living a caveman existence, but this is not the way many men existed before. Either it was the pole shift or it was the event where a big object exploded over the planet. It's possible that both happened at the same time, because now you start to see this mythology of Zeus and this mythology of the gods and Hades, and they're so angry at humans, right? But when you go into Brazil, and you go into the Americas and you go into Australia and you listen to their folklore, the gods are never angry, right? These angry gods are coming out of a specific region, and this hold on the woman is coming out of a specific region. But the man doesn't understand that this hold on the woman, you are actually slaving yourself, because it was never, ever your job, ever, to provide or protect for no woman. That was never a man's job, ever, until the Iceman comes out of the ice with that ice mentality based on how they were living. All things in nature can self-govern. All things in nature are born with self-preservation inside of you from the rip. Okay? So this origin of patriarchy, how we understand it, comes from the Father God. I want you to look into the word, and you'll find it in Gnostic traditions called Yadal. And Yadal is this demiurge. When you're calling on God, let me tell you something. God is a Germanic word, okay? It's a very perverted word. It is not an ancient word. If someone says they are a god, that's not a good thing. That is from the Germanic tribes, okay? That is a word that is used on conquered people. You start using your conqueror's language, right? Because God, first of all, is something that man creates. A Daldabroth is a demiurge that comes out of the subconscious of human beings. It is the worst parts of yourself. Listen to what I'm telling you. When you say God, you are talking about the worst parts of yourself. The worst parts of yourself. Because there is no language to describe the all. Nothing. You cannot count the all. Okay? You cannot measure the all. Right? You can't count the all. You can't measure the all. In fact, you can even only recognize the all in thought. The moment you start talking about it and trying to describe it, you pervert it. When you say God, goddess, that's the worst parts of yourself. That's not outside of eating food. That's not outside of defecation. That's not outside of materialism. That is the shadow side of a vampire, because God comes from the Visigoths. We think it means something else, but we are in another people's language. It don't. Right? So when we are calling on God, we're calling on slavery, because the government is God. A car is God. Your house is God. Your spouse could be God, right? God is whatever governs you. You understand? So when these people come out the ice, they come out the ice with a different worldview, okay? And one of the primary worldviews they have to move their species forward is to use the woman as a necessary tool for survival, but not quality of life. And in doing so, man does not have the ability to know thyself. The only way you can know thyself is if you have to shake off the primal wiring that you have towards women. I remember just thinking back on a lot of conversations about, my interactions with women. I remember a woman told me one time, as if it was a favor to me, she was gonna be something beautiful on my arm. And I remember at the time I was like, yeah. Looking back on what she was saying now, it's like, that don't mean shit to me. I don't care about a woman's beauty. I don't care about her sex. I don't care about her cooking. I don't care about none of that, because a woman ain't a prize to me. When I decenter the woman, right, I see that my True prize is knowledge of myself. Not a woman's beauty, not any her energy. I don't need her inspiration. I don't need a woman to do shit for me. Can I still be in a relationship with a woman? Yeah, but she don't make me though. And I'm not waking up trying to figure out why she's crying. And I'm not waking up trying to solve her problems. And I'm not waking up trying to build the world for her. I don't give a damn about what happens in the future. I don't care if this shit comes crumbling. I don't care about the species. I am just traveling along the way. If I have a kid, get married, all that shit, that's cool. But a husband is not the highest thing that I can ever be. And the father is not the highest thing that I can ever be. And doing shit for a woman is not my purpose. Right? Scaling as an individual, whoever's next to me, they get the fruits of the grind. But if she walks away, she walks away. If I see her with another man, I don't care. Your vagina ain't mine. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care about none of that. Well-being, quality of life. That's the ultimate friendship. A person's quality of life. Are you good? Outside of that, nothing you do is my business. You know why? Because my purpose is not to come here to save you. Now, that's where we have to go and revisit the steps in the hero's journey, because the hero's journey is older than that event of pole shift. The hero's journey is older than that cataclysm that happens on the planet. The hero's journey is very ancient, and it is a path to knowledge of self. All of that, a man is supposed to, that's in the way of my knowledge of self. Who made up these rules? Who said that was the path to knowledge of self? In fact, it's actually a distraction, right? If I have to provide for you, what happens when I want to start working? I can't, because you have a need now, right? And if you don't have the ability to take care of yourself and protect yourself, that means I have to stay around you all day. So now I'm a slave. I'm a slave for what you need me for. So I have to maintain work, because if I don't, then you're not going to give me no more intimacy, right? I have to maintain myself a certain way, because so you could be a damsel in distress. No, sir. That comes from the ice mentality. No, no, no. When I'm saying decenter women, I'm saying totally meaning that, yo, I'm going to do shit because I want to, not because of what people say makes me a man. I'm a man whether I do that or I don't. I own that shit. And I don't care what other groups of men are doing. I don't care about none of that shit. Here's my anarchy brain. All of this shit can go. All of it. But if it don't, cool. I'm gonna wake up and rock leather shirts. I'm gonna get my hair cut. I'm gonna get some money and I'm gonna chill, right? But if it all goes, I'm totally fine. My child even knows you do not have to bring me no babies. You do not have to make me a grandfather. You do not have to have no kids. None of that. None of it. Why? Because all of that shit is decentered in my life. What happens on earth stays on earth. I'm more concerned with spreading my ideals than I am spreading children. You understand? So I don't care about none of that shit, right? So having a relationship like that is great, because that means if I'm with a woman, she could just show up as herself. I could just show up as myself. I'm not looking at her that she's mine. I don't care about her body count. She could have been the biggest whore ever. I don't care. You know why? Because she ain't mine, and she never was. And on the hero's journey that we're about to revisit, I am not supposed to try to save her. And that's where majority of men never reach knowledge of self, because you believe it's your job to police women. You believe that women can't think for themselves. You believe it's your job to be a custodian on the woman, but that comes from where? The ice. Because the conditions that these people lived in, they had to survive. So you think that is your job to wake up in the morning and police women, tell them what they should do with their body or control their reproduction. Why? Because you're thinking about the survival, not of the human species. You are thinking the survival of the male species. So you need the woman to have babies. The power is taking that back, saying, I don't give a damn if you have kids or not. I don't care. You don't have no more. But what if humans disappear? I don't care. Right? So we need to revisit the hero's journey because something happens along the way that many guys lose their path and you lose your focus. So we have to revisit the hero's journey. Now, many dudes don't even know about the hero's journey. Now, is there a hero's journey for women? Certainly. Certainly. And they give up the journey a lot because they center men. See, we actually lose ourselves when we center each other. The woman loses herself when she centers men, right? But there is platforms now where women are talking to women talking about decentering men, and that's great, but it's one-sided. Because at the same time women are talking about decentering men, men are doing everything in their power to decenter women, traveling the 7 seas looking for a wife, worried about body counts, worried about what women are doing. So while women are talking about decentering men, men are doing everything in their power to be in a woman's business. And what I'm telling you is you can't have knowledge of self and women is at the center of your shit. Does that mean you don't hold down your friends? No, because ain't nobody about to come and disrespect mine, because that's my people's. See, I can be madly in love with a woman and be detached at the same time, right? And look at her from a non-ownership perspective at the same time, because I'm talking about the human. Can she walk away anytime? Sure it can. If I go dead broke, do I kick and scream? If she feels like that broke period is not for her, yo, it's the game. It's the game, right? So my connection has nothing to do with her body part, right? Because I'm focused on quality of life. Now, me focused on that woman leaving my life, that takes away from my quality of life. Right? Last I checked, the universe was abundant. Last I checked, it was billions of women on the planet. Why would I trip about that? Because I've corrected the primal thing that was hardwired in the male mind starting 13,000 years ago when something happened on the planet. So now many men have a paranoia. So many men define their manhood based on their interactions with women. But more so based on what a woman doesn't have. The less that a woman has, though many men think that or feel like their manhood is stronger, but the more material the woman have, the less the less confidence a guy feels. That's a crazy dynamic. The less the woman has, the man feels more like a man, the less she has, right? And the more that she gets, he has this thing in the mind of saying, well, I guess you don't need me. Where does that psychology comes from? It comes from when the world was frozen. It comes from these periods right here, right? See, those people that were stuck in the ice, the male had a purpose every single day. It was survival. So you had to chase your food, you had to trap your food, you didn't have time to bury your dead, right? You had an angry God that gave you meaning and gave you purpose, and you felt like it was a curse. Your God was cursing you, the sweat of your brow, right? And then when this ice melts, this angry Father God that is locked into the psyche of the people coming out that ice begins to spread throughout the whole planet. It begins to go to people that live in balance, right? And it begins to put male on top of woman. It begins to put male on top of animals. It begins to put the human male on top of just everything. But at the top of the human male is this angry father god archetype, this demiurge, Adal Dabrov, right? And it's about jealousy. Notice, God is jealous. God is territorial. Man is jealous. Man is territorial. Every characteristic that this Adal Dabrov or this demiurge or this father god has, the male also has too, right? And the way that the father god sees the woman, the male also sees the woman like that. But in seeing the woman like that, the male falls because your purpose is not to center the woman. What she thinks about you don't matter. Trying to make her happy is a curse of yours. Trying to get her to love you and see you for your height or your penis size or your bank account and you traveling the seven seas for a woman to be okay with your flaws. That's not knowledge of self. Who cares what she thinks? But I understand. So now I get my hair cut for me because I want to see it, right? Now I throw on cologne because I want to smell myself. I go shopping for things that I like, right? Before it was all about the gaze of women and what women thought of me and boo when I put bad purchases in cars. Also, women could be like, oh shit, I see you in the Benz, but the Benz is killing me though, right? Vacations I can't afford. Also, I could post pictures so women could be like, oh man, damn, you must got it going on, right? Wasting money after wasting money after wasting money, right? Chasing skirts, chasing skirts, chasing skirts, all because of the feeling from the original woman that I centered with was my mother. Do I blame women for that? Hell no, because it's my job to figure out my own hero's journey. I love time with women. I think women are great. I think women are dope, but they're not mine to control. They ain't mine to be policing. Their business is their business. They ain't mine to be saved. And I will not jump on the grenade to save humanity. Hell no. All of this can go. And having that mindset, I'm able to live a more abundant life because it's live and let die. And I've undid the curse. I still have a long way to go, but I get it. I understand that the way that I'm seeing the world is from something primal that have happened on the planet 13,000 years ago. Look into the Younger Dryas. Randall Carlson deals with it, Graham Hancock deal with it, and many others. And there's others that deal with pole shift. Those two theories are not widely accepted in academia. One, because it goes completely off of a biblical narrative, and then the other one, it completely goes against the evolution narrative that it took us millions of years to get how we are, and that ain't true. It took us days. Cosmic events happen that affect the planet, and we go through these radical changes super fast. Groups of people perish, and then all of a sudden groups of people rise to power. The source of who y'all call the white man, their source of their power is the trauma from the ice. Okay? Patriarchy, how we understand it, is based on these ice people's viewpoint of the gender dynamics. They're at conflict with each other, right? Because I personally believe that those people in the ice, they blamed the woman based on superstition for why the ice happened in the first place, and women's autonomy was a threat. So it's important to make the woman have chastity, right? In fact, in the old world in Europe, as they're coming out the ice, many of them believe it was unpure to lay with women, that it was more virtuous to lie with men. The woman was considered unclean. Look at the Bible, right? That stems from a psychology. But the psychology happens because of something that has happened on the planet. We are deeply affected by our environment. And when we talk about patriarchy and a lot of these things, we don't include climate, we don't include the percentage of oxygen that exists at the time, we don't include cataclysmic events that humans survive from. That's missing from the story. We don't include people's diets changing. We don't include a lot of things, and it's an environment that changes human beings. Okay. So quality of life versus survival. Many men's version of quality of life is having babies, having babies, having babies. But what I'm breaking down to you is the origins of that thinking. That thinking comes from something primal that happened thousands of years ago, of the planet going through a pole shift, or a large object hits the planet. They would have us believe that when these large objects hit the planet, there's no human beings. And the reason for that is because if those people that are was around, if they had white skin, then they would say that. But the fact that they don't, they don't. When we look at the people in the Sentinelese Island, these people are 40, 50,000 years old. You don't often find anybody from European descent that looks like that. So our image, our looks, our skin tones comes from environmental factors. Things happening in the environment that change us, make our nose bigger, make our eyes more slanted, make our hair different, makes us taller, makes us shorter. We respond based off environmental factors. And patriarchy, or Abrahamic religion, is based on environment. Something is occurring in the environment that programs the psyche to make to condition them to make folklore and mythology in a certain way. So when you are coming up in Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, it's not about quality of life. It's about survival. Quality of life is more focused on your experience here and making this experience the best experience that you can make it. Even if you don't get married. See, this is how we know it's about survival. Because, oh man, if you don't have kids, then life ain't worth it. If you don't get married, then life sucks. Like, people can't think outside of that. That's survival. Oh, you're gonna die alone. What's wrong with that? Right? So we're not focused on the day to day of fellowship, enjoying people, travel, eating, sleeping, watching movies. No, it has to mean something. If the relationship doesn't end in marriage, then it's a failure. If you don't have any kids, then it's a failure. That is all based on traumatized thinking when the world was much different, and we have not caught up to that world. Let me take it from the top for the people that have just came. You have the Clovis people, right? The Clovis people was an indigenous culture in the Americas. The reason why I use the Clovis people is because they just disappeared. Something happened. Now, the Clovis people were big game hunters. They hunted something called megafauna. Okay? This is another picture of megafauna. In the Americas, there was a sheets of ice at this time, right? In fact, the world, much of it was covered in ice. Now, pay close attention to where it isn't covered in ice. Everywhere that's not covered in ice was conquered by people from the ice. Everywhere. Whether that was Brazil, whether that was Africa, Australia, Java, Indonesia, you name it. All people that came out of the ice that survived the global cataclysm were, this is where we get the men are predators, men are hunters by nature. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. Many indigenous tribes were vegetarian. Were you hunting? This hunter mindset comes from people that have to chase food, right? If these people that don't live in the ice were naturally hunters, then they wouldn't have been able to be subjugated. They wouldn't been able to have been tricked out of their life. Listen, diet oftentimes makes you very peaceful. Okay? Diet makes you peaceful. When you eat blood, you tend to be more aggressive. Okay? If you are eating fruits and vegetables as a natural diet, you are not a hunter. Does that mean you can't defend yourself? No, you can be a warrior, but you're not a hunter. This hunter mindset comes from those that have to chase their food. Now, the Clovis people, they had woolly mammoths, they killed woolly mammoths, everything. But the reason why I'm saying the men were not hunters, because the women were involved as well. Bringing down big game was a community effort. It wasn't just guys. We see the world through that lens and think that this nature of men been like this for millennia prior to the Younger Dryas, but it wasn't, yo. The ice melts. And now we have the rise of this father god, the rise of Adulterbroth, the rise of this psychology that is in conflict with nature and the environment. But understand though, wouldn't you, if you were born in this and raised children in this and lived in this environment for thousands of years, your psychology would be different too. But what is the main tool that the people from that environment have that they use against everybody else? Psychology. Because when you live in an environment like this, you have to use your mind. Now, I'm not saying that the indigenous people didn't use their mind, but they did not have to problem solve in that way. They didn't have to chase their food. They're not in conflict with the environment. When a woman has babies in this environment, they barely survive. So when these people get out of this environment, their God system is angry. Look at the Vikings. Look at everybody that comes from this region. They have a specific behavior. Now, here's the thing. They are part of humanity, though. Environmental factors just shaped them differently. However, our brothers from the ice, you will lose yourself if you take on their concepts of the woman. A man is supposed to protect and provide. That's based on this. You're protecting from saber-toothed tiger. You're protecting from big animals, insects, everything. You have to go outside and chop down trees and do everything because the woman can't because she's pregnant. But most importantly, this environment called for upper body strength. You had to be a physical specimen, right? You had to grow hair. You had to be a beastly of a man to survive something like this. Women didn't stand a chance. But you see, the dynamics are often different when we're talking about people that live closer to the equator. It's different. It looks different. When Columbus came to the Taino, he didn't talk about the hierarchy. He talked about free people, right? When the Jesuits went out into the world, the missionaries, when they went out into the world, they called the people barbaric because everybody was naked. They thought it was very odd that the people had these marriage customs that weren't that serious. When if a person was angry with someone and they wanted a divorce, they just put their shit out of the tent. They didn't understand that there was no man over woman. Why not? Because when you're coming out the ice, you think the world is like this. And it wasn't. So we need to revisit the hero's journey, because somewhere along the lines in every man's journey, you think you're supposed to save women at the expense of yourself. You think that you're supposed to jump on that grenade to save all this. This is why many of y'all are talking about tradition. Tradition. Tradition this, tradition that. Because progressive movements put a dent in what you call your survival. So if you have the rich auntie, if you have more women not getting married, you have more women not having kids, you look at that as a personal attack instead of looking at it as your path to freedom. Women don't want to have no more kids? Great. But see, you want your name to live on. So now you're not focused on quality of life. But here's the secret, fellas, for your name to live on. Do something great. Your name does not have to live on through children. And let's be honest, the average man is going to have mediocre babies. Let's keep it real. Everybody's not going to have generational wealth. It's not going to be no legacy. Most people are just having babies because they can, right? So if the women are saying that they want to be rich aunties, they are celibate, they're not having babies, that breaks the curse that you have from this Father God about you. If you thinking it's your job to replenish the world and subdue it and have dominion over the fish and over the fowl, right? And to marry this woman and make an honest woman out of her and pump her full of babies and blah blah blah. Yo, that's not quality of life. The more kids that woman gives you, the more stressed out you are. Yo, when y'all go to your sex workers, you can't even enjoy her because you spend the first hour talking about how much you can't stand your wife. And how this life that you created is a burden. See, the root chakra tells us a lot, right? Our deviancy tells us a lot. Some of the most powerful men on the planet, their kink is to be dominated by dominatrix, right? Because this life that this powerful man, this responsible man has created is actually stressing him out, right? But the control of it feels good. So these men go see these women and these women dominate them, right? Because that's the only area, that's the only time in her life they could be that vulnerable. And he begins to tell her the secrets, how he can't stand his wife, how he wishes that she find a hobby and do something so he doesn't have to keep being this provider, and how he is upset that he had all those children. See, he's a working man, 80 hours a week and all that, right? But that ain't his dream, though. That's not his dream. He want to do other things, but he can't because he's weighed down of this ideal that he has to be this provider, but he never once was taught or stopped to provide for himself. And as a dude, you think your manhood is providing for others. That's a finesse. Meanwhile, you got huge mental illness. Meanwhile, you're not even eating right. Meanwhile, you're not even getting physicals. Meanwhile, you don't even floss. Meanwhile, you go to sleep with food in your mouth, in your gums, because you're not brushing your teeth, right? Women make jokes all the time that men don't even wipe themselves correctly. Do you know why? It's because you think that self-care is something that the woman should do. But when it comes to you, men are dirty, men are filthy. The highlight of your life is just a woman giving you sex. So meanwhile, you don't even know how to wipe yourself correctly. You don't even know how to wash. You don't even know how to have self-care. Like, self-care for a man is intimacy with a woman. So there is no manhood independent of a woman. You know how scary that is? How can a woman straight up say they don't need you, right? But you will never say that about a woman. Women openly telling guys, we don't need you. And what do guys come back and say? Well, you're going to have these babies. The women are openly saying, you know what? Dying alone doesn't sound too bad. But men, when it comes to women, if you don't have a woman in your life, what happens? School shooter, right? You have crazy mental illness, right? You need this woman's energy. Why though? Why? When a woman doesn't want a man, why does it throw you off so crazy? What is it about a woman leaving you that you are terrified of? I just told you though. It's you are terrified that you're going to have to live in that ice again alone. You're terrified of extinction, right? But what I'm telling you is a woman not needing you, like not breaking your back for a woman, not being this white knight, yo, feels so good. Yo, why not try celibacy? Like voluntary celibacy. Why not? Why do you have to be in a relationship? Why can't you live by yourself? Why can't you get plants and water the plants? Why can't you take your socks off and go grounding? Why can't you have incense, right? And in your house smelling a certain type of way? Why does your grooming have to be based on if a woman is looking or not? Why does the sole purpose of your grind have to be rooted in, you know what, you're going to blow a bag on the woman who will openly walk away from you and tells you to your face, I don't need you. I will break up this family if I'm not happy. And the man gets on his knees, please, no, don't, boo. And you will delete her, yourself, and the whole family. Why? Because you messed up on the path of the hero's journey. So you see that we have the ordinary world and we have the special world, right? So let's get into the steps of the hero's journey. So you have this call to adventure. Now, you'll see the hero's journey in most movies, but you'll see it from the four parts of hero, victim, guide, villain. There's a hero in the movie, there's a villain, there's a guide, and there's a victim, right? Okay. So we're going to just get more into the steps where, all right, the hero is called to adventure. So this regular guy, something happens, a problem or threat interrupts the hero's normal life. So naturally, the hero. Now think about any action movie. Think about any movie where you've seen that has the hero. They follow this blueprint. So the hero has a refusal of the call. Initially, the hero is hesitant to embark on the journey. Therefore, they refuse to call. Then something happens. They have a supernatural aid. Someone they look up to helps them find the inspiration to join the journey. Then you have crossing the threshold. This is the point where the hero leaves on their journey. Then you have the belly of the whale. In this stage, the hero encounters the first obstacle after leaving the journey. This step is the end of the departure stage. So this is what happens on the natural cycle of the hero's journey that every single man goes through. This is thousands of years old. Now, it looks different for everybody, but every man goes through this. Now, there's a area on the stage that each man slips and falls. And I'm going to tell it to you right now. So you have the road of trials, the first step of the initiation stage. These are the trials the hero undergoes and the beginning of the change in some aspect of the hero. They learn from their mistakes. Now, here's where the hero falls: meeting with the goddess. The hero meets with the allies that will help them through their journey. Oftentimes, a woman. Beautiful. And here's where this idea of the virgin. We see this in Troy. Achilles meets Paceres, and she's a virgin priestess. And then she gives his life meaning from all the war that he's been through. And guess what happens? The woman is a temptress. The temptation that arises is to try to get the hero to abandon the journey. That's what Perseus did to Achilles. She didn't want him to kill Prince Hector. She didn't want him to fight no more. And here's where all heroes fall. You meet this goddess. She's drop dead gorgeous, right? And you look at all your scars and the pain that you've been through, and you associate the goddess's beauty as a reward for all the pain you've been through. So when she tempts you and says, don't go to war anymore, or don't do that career anymore. And mind you, it works reverse too with women, right? They're on their journey, and all of a sudden a baby pops up, and because of your quote morals, you can't have an abortion, and you're tired and you need the soft life, and you give up on the dream in exchange for this ideal of family. The blueprint for the hero's journey and the hero's journey are the same. Here's the issue on both sides. When man meets the woman, the goddess on his hero journey, yes, he can enjoy her beauty. Yes, he can indulge in it. But he cannot allow her to tempt him, to go off the path for her. Because on the shadow side, she is actually trying to tame the hero. And she will get a re-up off the fact that he doesn't want to go on the path no more, and he chose her over the journey. There are some women that get off on that to find the hero and to get the hero off his path, right? And when he chooses her, he's done. And when the man is on the hero's journey, you look at the woman as a prize because you are thinking survival instead of thinking quality of life. Because if you really enjoy her beauty, don't get her pregnant so you can enjoy it longer. But the moment you get her pregnant, you are off because now she has a relationship with the child that she does not have with you. What the woman is to you, the child is to her. Here's what many men don't understand. How men look at women, women oftentimes look at children. So if you really enjoy the woman, don't get her pregnant because the moment she has that life in her, you are an afterthought. Her connection, her new journey is rearing these children, and you got to find your place in her life. But the mistake that many heroes make is, instead of enjoying her beauty, enjoying the virgin goddess, blah, blah, you overindulge, and now you try to save her from herself. You begin to tell her to put her clothes on. You begin to look at her as something to conquer instead of the path, instead of your own lower urges, instead of your own mindset. Here's where all heroes fall. You fall between that seventh and that eighth stage of meeting the goddess, who's an ally to you on the path. See, and the mistake that many men make is that goddess is an ally to many men, right? And because y'all might experience intimacy, you have jealousy that arises to the point where you don't want her to be an ally to anyone else, just you. So you get off your path so she's not an ally to anybody else, and then you allow her to tempt you off the path. Instead of meeting the goddess, allowing her to be an ally, sharing intimacy with her, right? Coming to the table as both valuable. Both of y'all are valuable, not just her, right? And when you get past her tempting and her tears, you're able to have atonement with the Father. One of the major turning points of the story where the hero faces the ultimate reason for the journey. The hero might face a villain or even their own doubt, but the average hero, the average man, never gets to that point because the woman's tears tames him, because he thinks that's his purpose. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Many of you dudes are going to run into a sprinkle, sprinkle chick, and she going to work you. You don't understand. She's on her hero's journey. See, on the other side of the hero of the hero's journey is the woman's journey, right? Part of her journey is to break your pocket. You don't understand that. Part of her journey is to finesse you, right? See, where she gets caught is she winds up getting pregnant by you, right? For real, on the hero's journey, y'all not gonna like this, but the woman is supposed to have the baby, not the man. Ooh. This single mother thing is very ancient. It's very ancient. A lot of women see themselves having children minus the man. That's very old. It's very primal. Because of the Iceman philosophy, the man puts himself in the entire thing. But many women, if they have money and then babies, they don't want the man. Yo, where do you think they're getting this from? It's from something very ancient. She don't want the man. She wants the children. So her job for real, and where she messes up on the path, is she winds up having a family with somebody that she was just supposed to break their pockets. It's your job to not let her break your pockets. It's your job not to let her hit you with the sprinkle, sprinkle. It's your job not to let her tears and her struggle of not being able to pay bills, and you have to resist the primal urge to want to come and save her life. Don't worry, she could get herself out of it. It's not your job to come save the woman, right? The 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 woman's hero's journey and the man's hero's journey is in direct opposition to each other. The woman is trying to break the man. The man is trying to use the woman's beauty. They're in direct opposition from each other, oppositions of each other. But the beautiful thing about it is, if they both resist the temptation, if the woman resists the temptation of finding herself, not being a hard worker, the lazy thing, that is the kryptonite to the woman. The women don't want to work. They don't want to work. They don't want to do shit. So they want the man to come in, and that's their fault, because you want the man to work for you instead of you working for yourself. Right? That's your freedom. You lose the hero's journey when the man comes to do the work for you. It might not feel like it at the moment because you're in he put you up for the weekend and he paying your bills, right? But you got to understand, beloved, this heroes and hero's journey, this is a long game. You're 26, and your booty is fire, and your titties is sitting upright. So you like, I ain't working. These men doing it. Yo, understand, young hoes turning to old hoes. Don't get it twisted. And you're older longer than you are younger. I'm sorry, you are older longer than you are younger. Yes. And what do the men say? Well, we want young women. We want young women. We want young women. These are men that's off their hero's journey. So the man has to resist the temptation to be tamed. The woman has to resist the temptation to be lazy, right? You're supposed to break his pockets without marrying him, without having a baby by him. That's where the woman falls, right? Get all the shit that would come from a marriage or having babies by him without commitment, or this monogamy. The man is supposed to keep it moving on the journey and don't let her finesse him with the beauty. So you can get on to the next stage, which is atonement with the father, one of the major turning points of the story, where the hero faces the ultimate reason for the journey. The hero might face a villain or even their own doubt. That's most men's thing. Your own doubt, your own fear of survival. So you just have babies because you need to live forever. You need to be a legend. The villain is always you. You are the villain, right? And then you have apotheosis. From the previous step, the hero learns how they will face the rest of the journey. This is the moment that the hero gains profound understanding or knowledge that helps him to prevail. Then you go to step 11, the ultimate boon, the final step of the initiation stage. This step is where the hero fulfills the reason for their journey. Then what happens naturally is the hero has a refusal of return. The first step of the return, the hero is initially reluctant to return to the mundane life. Now here's the struggle after the journey. You see Rambo. Rambo couldn't fit into the new world. You know what I mean? Tony Starks couldn't go back to the regular world. You know, a lot of men that are fighters can't go back to the regular world, right? So you have Magic Flight. The hero has answered their call and completed the reason for the journey. They are still chased by others. In this step, the hero works to evade those chasing them. Rescue from without. Step 14. Again, an outside source or mentor works to guide them home and rescue them from those chasing them. Now the hero crosses the threshold. The hero crosses back into their mundane world. And now, master of two worlds. Since the hero has been on the journey, they need to learn to balance their mundane life and the world they experienced on the journey. And lastly, you have freedom to live. The hero acclimates back into their mundane life and lives peacefully. So on this hero's journey, you go through these two worlds, higher self, lower self, just to come back to homeostasis, right? You go on this journey, you don't want to go, then you go, and when you get there, then you don't want to come back. Then you're being chased. Then you got to be forced to come back. And then you have to figure out how to balance the regular 3D world with the fact that you're a superhero, the fact that you went on the hero's journey. And basically, what it is a path of knowledge. The fact that you now have the knowledge of self. And you see many guys want to dismantle the system. You see many guys have a difficult time with being alive because you have this knowledge of self. You have this information, and you just can't sit still, or you can't accept the fact that there's people that are not in the know. So you talk about the matrix and blah, 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 right? It's not the job for the hero to save the world. Most importantly for the hero, don't get caught on step 7 and 8. You have to know how to meet the goddess along the way as an ally, right? You don't make plans with the goddess. Many goddess allies are your worst enemy, honestly, because she's an ally for you to go to the next level. Most of the time, she has information, or again, she has her beauty for you to use, right? But you don't marry it, you don't get stuck by it, right? She's actually there. She's an ally, but again, part of her hero's journey is to break your pocket. The woman follows the same hero's journey as the man, same thing. But when they get to each other, when the woman on the hero's journey gets to the man who is an ally or who is a guide, she makes the mistake of falling in love with the prince. This is the Prince Charming thing, because each woman has this princess thing in her mind where every woman believes she's fucking special, and you're not. Nobody special. Nobody. Nobody. I know we all like to believe we are, but we're not. Random things can happen to you too, right? So in the woman's hero's journey, she has to kill the princess shit in her head, where she believes that this prince is supposed to come and take her pain away and take her away from all the evils of the world. You're giving up sovereignty. You're giving up autonomy for that. See, because the shadow side of the hero is when he gets to the 7th and 8th part and he falls. And now he begins to use his Prince Charming to take you off the path. Every prince, every knight in shining armor is a dude on the hero's journey that's off the path. When a man is on the path of the hero's journey, he don't want to control you. He doesn't have time to be jealous. He doesn't want none of that shit. He does not want a woman in his life that can't pay her own bills, that's struggling, that's putting extra burden on him. If he decides to take that on, he's taking on the role of the prince, and he is off his path. Right? Now, man and a woman both on the journey. They have to know how to survive each other. Right? They have to know how to survive each other. If everyone is special, then nobody is special. Everybody cannot be special, or else what is special? Special is something that is rare. Special is something that doesn't happen often. Now, human beings can do special things, but the human itself, you're not special. Each one of us are walking around with shit in our stomach. What's special about that? We're burping, we're passing gas. We're not special, yo. Right? Have you ever been around a dead body? You know how long it takes to smell? That's not special. And it's okay. But there's a need to feel like that because the world is so harsh. We need to tell ourselves we are more than what we are. I ain't never seen people when a plane crash is happening and the plane be like, oh, you know what? I got some special people. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna crash. People get into car accidents. I ain't never see a car just go, matter of fact, nope, there's a special person in that car. Life happens to us all. We have special moments in time. We do special things, but us, just regular, we're not special. And the woman damn sure ain't special. Not in my world. Nobody is. Right? Do I value people? Hell yeah. But we are same. I do not look at a woman different than I look at a man. They are both the same. They are both potential ops or potential business partners. That's it. So on the hero's journey, the man and a woman can come to the end of their completed journey and they can meet each other. Right? They can meet each other. And in meeting each other, they can share a special bond. The biggest bond that a man and a woman, in my opinion, will ever share was the fact that they both completed their individual journeys. So that means if they choose to spend time with each other, it is going to be based on the fact that she did her work, he did his work. Now, is it possible she can cook for him? Sure. Is it possible he can give her money? Sure. Is it possible he can cook for her? Sure. Is it possible she can cook for him? Yes. The difference in that relationship is they live by the rules of their journey. He ain't her purpose, she ain't his purpose, right? He doesn't look at her from a perspective of a woman is supposed to X, Y, Z. She doesn't look at him from a perspective of a man is supposed to X, Y, Z. He understands her based on her story. She understands him based on the story of the hero's journey, right? The hero's journey. And that is a journey for many dudes. You need to go on it ASAP because you are losing your mind. You are spending thousands upon thousands of dollars traveling the 7 seas, not looking for knowledge. You're not looking for knowledge. You're looking for better women. What the hell? You need to have babies. You need to have legacy. But I hate to burst your bubble. Legacy is not children. Legacy is financial instruments, finances, and things that are passed to other people. You need to work the hardest just so a woman can say, my man does this for me. The fact that you feel good from that, what happens if she walks away? So you're going to need another woman to come in and do the same shit just so you can feel like something. Your manhood is not based on what a woman says about you, whether she likes you or not, whether she will sleep with you or not. Get your hair cut because you want to get your hair cut. Buy that car because you want to drive a car like that. You know what I'm saying? Buy that house because you just want to entertain your friends. And if a woman comes along and the things that you have, you want to share that with her, that's different. Share your shit. If you find a woman that you think is dope and the things that you have acquired, You want to share it with her? Do that. Don't do it because of her. You do it because you want to share. Now, if you wake up in the morning and that same woman that you shared all this stuff, if she up and walked out of your life, chuck her the deuces and tell her, live your life and grow. It was good while it lasted. Think about the experience of her being there. Don't worry about her leaving. If she leave, so what? Divorce you? So what? But she gonna take half my money. So what? If you have the so what mentality, you're gonna get it back 10 times. Don't be attached to none of this shit. None of it. The fact you're attached to it makes her want to take half because she knows that's what you care about. If you don't care about the money, if you don't care about all those things, how can someone control you? Is controlled by these things. The house, the dog, the kids, let it go. And it'll come back to you. Don't care about it and it'll come back to you. You can be attached and totally engaged at the same time. But listen to me. A woman's pussy ain't yours. Ken, but I don't want nobody sleeping with my woman. It ain't yours. The fact that men associate a woman, like, if I sleep with your baby mom, somehow I got power over you. Or if like, men get off on sleeping with other men's wives and they're like, yeah, that's why I had your wife. Why? Because they look at the wife of something of his. But if the man is like, I don't care, it don't hit the same. It only hits the same because men are possessive over women. But how can you control a man when he don't care? How can you control the man that's like, yeah, she do what she want to do. I ain't tripping off that. You don't got no control. You probably don't even want her now. You only want her now because that's Jeff Bezos' wife. You only want her because that's LeBron's wife. And you feel like you did something to LeBron if you get at that woman. But that's between you and her. See? I'm talking about decentering women, and women ain't did nothing to me. I'm not speaking from a perspective of hurt. Women that decenter men, you speaking from a perspective of hurt. I ain't speaking from a perspective of hurt. I'm speaking of perspective of no disrespect, but bye, bitch. No disrespect. I'm speaking of perspective of great relationships. Bye though. Bye though. I'm not tripping on none of this shit. Right? Maybe it's the turning 40 soon. Maybe it's my high body count. I don't know. But I'm like, yo, I don't care. Deuces. If I'm an old man and I die on the floor and nobody find me, I'm dead already. See? This is how I live forever. And this is also how I have great relationships with women. Right? Because I'm not expecting nothing else except the code that we agree on. Right? If the code is this and I do this and that we mutually agree on, has nothing about me being a man, has nothing about her being a woman. It's a mutual code, right? Between people that have done the work, right? And if one of us break the code, We just don't have access to each other anymore. But that's it. So my message to dudes is, if you really want to get close to a woman, decenter them, because you need to see their humanity. They're not what you think. They are not just some docile creatures that don't know what they're doing. Oh, they know what they're doing, and you keep thinking they're not intellectual, and you'll keep marrying them, working 80 hours a week, giving all your money. You are getting finessed. You keep thinking these women ain't smart. You keep thinking they don't know how to crack your phone. You keep thinking they don't know what's up. That's a trick you play on yourself. You keep thinking they're not intellectual, and you keep thinking they're not logical. You keep thinking they don't like sex. You keep thinking they're not aggressive. You keep thinking, you keep playing these tricks on yourself as a dude, cognitive dissonance, even though they're showing you one thing. Go on and keep thinking that. That's a L for you. I know what I'm looking at, right? But if you really want to get close to a woman, decenter her. Don't look at her the same way you look at a man. Look at a woman like that. When people say men and women ain't the same, oh, they're not equal, I know that's a finesse. A woman could pull that trigger just like a man. A woman can throw that and move that knife around just like a man. A woman can set me up just like a man. A woman manipulates just like a man. When I go in the cemetery, it's men and women there. Oh, men and women are definitely equal. They are both capable of fuck shit. They're both capable of great relationships. The sun shines on a man and it shines on a woman. It rains on a man and it rains on a woman. I do not lose sight. They are the same. Now, people differ, but the species, food, clothes, shelter. A woman to get over on you, a man to get over on you. A man can nurture you, looks different. A woman can nurture you, right? Looks different, right? See, not only do I have women decentered, I have humanity decentered, right? So I'm not tripping off of none of this shit. So I have women decentered, humanity decentered. I have the black community decentered. The black community is not the center of my life. I don't care what these people do. Men are not the center of my life. I'm not going to be on here talking about what men like and men, I don't care. But women are also decentered too, right? And that is the secret to how I move. No longer do I beg for relationships. No longer do I um need to be seen by other people. My need for family that I used to have before, I don't have that no more. When people walk out of my life, deuces, you was who I thought you was, right? No shade, right? But ain't no spinning the block, not for the frisky. You feel me? And it's all good. So me decentering woman, my heart ain't broke. I'm good, right? I just know what it is, and I just understand my hero's journey, and it does not include me lording over, policing women, trying to figure a woman's life out, trying to come in and take over somebody's bills. Not happening. I could spend that money on myself. Right? I could spend that on me. You feel me? So that's your options. And if you're a dude, anybody, matter of fact, it's not just dude, and you need any help decentering, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and book a session with your boy. Go ahead and holler at me. All you got to do is follow that QR code, and I can work with you on how to put a thought down, right? But here's the thing, though. Even in decentering, I'm still super present. Even in decentering, I still love hard. Even in decentering, I'm still a good friend and want to be a better friend. Even in decentering, I still want to be a great partner, right? The thing is though is my purpose is not that though, right? My purpose is not a woman. My purpose is not to be a partner. It's just something that we do in regards to human experience. So that comes with like a certain kind of mental game of how to be everything and nothing at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you can decenter and still be hyper engaged in the relationship. So rewind the video, go back, and I decenter men, I decenter women, I decenter humanity, everything. But I will never, ever decenter being a nigga with waves. When it comes to these waves, I don't give a damn. I'm going to always center that. I'm going to have that do-rag. I'm going to have that grease. Oh, I'm going to never decenter that barber because I'm going to always show up with them things thinging. You already know how it goes. The worst time in my life was when my mama was laid up in the hospital dying. I just watched her decay. You know, it was crazy. And I was looking out the window and I seen planes in the sky. People was traveling. It was cars on the highway. People was traveling. People was on their phone, just doing human things, you know. The worst period of my life, the world was moving. It didn't stop for your boy at all. She ended up dying and I was sitting right next to her. I seen the life leave my mama. The life leave my mama. I can't unsee that. Man, I ain't got no fear. What could you do to me? You think I care what you think? If I could see that, you think I care what you think? That's why I ain't got no problem telling you to pay like you weigh. Sock it to my pocket. I'm charging for my pain. You ain't gonna sit up here and take my gain from my pain and run off and break bread with somebody else. Nah, you break bread with me. Respect the game. I ain't got no fear, so I don't care what you think. It's time for that 20 piece. This that $20 call to action, man. Pay like you weigh.